Hey guys, Pendleton here with Adventure Life Decals, and in this video I'm going to show you how to apply the tailgate stripe that goes from both taillights and all the way across the tailgate. If you have any questions at all before, during, or after the application, please don't hesitate to reach out to us at support@adventurelifedecals.com or through the chat box on our website, and we'll be sure to get back to you as quickly as we can with a solution. The first thing you're going to want to do for this installation is go ahead and remove this emblem on your tailgate. Don't worry, your order included a template so that you can reinstall these letters after you've applied the graphic, just how they were from the factory. What I've got here is an emblem removal tool. You can use this, you can find it on Amazon, or you can even use fishing line, some heavy fishing line. Just make sure you don't use like wire cable or something that can scratch your paint. On this Jeep Gladiator, I've already removed these before for a test fitment of our design. So it's gonna be a little bit easier for me to remove these. But if you want to, I would recommend using a hairdryer or a heat gun to warm up the adhesive and then use your emblem removal tool to remove it. What you're gonna wanna do is keeping tension on the piece, whether it's fishing line or emblem removal tool, just go back and forth and break the adhesive here. Now there's a pin behind the P here and behind the J here that goes into the tailgate just for alignment. You don't necessarily need this while reinstalling the letters because the template will guide you in another way, but I would recommend not breaking those or trying not to. All right, now we're gonna move on to the next step, which is removing this camera. What you're gonna need is your Torx bit. Now, if your bed is coated in a bed liner like this one, this cap may be a little harder to remove. I would recommend getting a chisel or another fine object that you can kind of push in and wedge to break that bed liner that's probably sealing this cap on. But go ahead and remove those screws first. So this camera here under the cover is clipped in with this clip here. You're going to want to loosen it here on the top and the bottom, and then grab this tab here on the right side and pull it away. And then go ahead and remove that clip. And then this cable here that's plugged in, there's a tab here on the bottom. Just pinch that in and pull it back. Go ahead and support the camera from the bottom here. Now there's a tab on the camera here facing the front of the vehicle. Push that in, pop this down, bring the camera forward like this direction to clear the bottom clip, and then remove it that way. Set this aside. All right, for the next step, you're going to want to remove the tail light. There are 2 bolts here, one at the top, one at the bottom. Grab your socket and remove those. All right, and then to remove the taillight assembly, there is a tab here on the taillight that is clipping it to the quarter panel there. Just go ahead and pull it away a little bit just to avoid breaking that. It's not a huge deal if you do break it. And then there are clips here on this back side, and you're gonna wanna pull it straight back from the vehicle. So again, towards me, and then back away from the vehicle. Now that you've got the tail light off, you're gonna need to unplug it. Take this red tab and pull it down or away, and then you're gonna need to push this black tab in and pull this apart. If you're having a hard time pulling it away, push it in a little bit and then pull it out. And then set this aside, do the same for the other side. Now that you got everything prepped with the taillights removed and the camera removed and the letters removed, go ahead and continue prepping the surface by cleaning with soap and water and drying with the microfiber cloth. All right, you're gonna wanna start with the tail lights, not the middle piece. Go ahead and grab the corresponding piece. L is for the left, R is for the right. I would recommend doing this in the shade and out of the sun so that the material doesn't become super pliable by the heat, and you're able to apply this without it sticking to itself or sticking to the surface too soon. So go ahead and line up the edges of the graphic with the contour of your vehicle here, starting at the top. And working your way around. The edge of this graphic should be right on the edge of where the bevel begins. There you go. Go ahead and run your finger along the edge just to give it a nice tap along the whole perimeter of everything. Don't worry about this section yet. Once you've got that done, go ahead and grab your heat gun or hair dryer to warm up this material, as well as your squeegee, and you're gonna start working your way from the outside and towards the inner edge of this quarter panel here. Now when you're doing this, keep tension on the graphic and don't pull it back towards the edge of this here. Let your squeegee do that, applying on that portion. All right, once you get to this edge here, go ahead and open your tailgate just to get that out of the way if you don't have it open already. And what we're gonna do is just press this down on this flat edge, and then with the rest of the material, just wrap it around on the inside of the tailgate here. Put some heat on the edge of this and go ahead and wrap it around the edge there. All right, and you're gonna wanna do the same thing on the other side to apply that graphic. For the long flat section that goes across the back of the tailgate, it's gonna come rolled up. Go ahead and unroll that and roll it the opposite direction so that it lays flat. Now, it wouldn't be a bad idea to go back over this and just make sure it's clean again. Grab some masking tape and go ahead and line it up with the top edge of this on both sides of your tail light, just so that you can make sure it's more continuous with the piece that goes across. You'll have something to line it up with. All right, grab your graphic, go ahead and line it up, top edge with the bottom of the masking tape that you have here, and on the other side, again, to make sure it's more continuous and kind of flows from the tail light to the tailgates. And then use your tape that you've set up here for yourself to keep this in place. All right, so now that you've got this all lined up and taped in place how you want it, go ahead and start with one side. I'm gonna start here with my right side. Peel it back away from the paper backing, cut the paper backing. This is called the hinge method, and then apply the graphic. All right, go ahead and pull it out to the side. Again, make sure it's all lined up how you want it. Tack it down by pushing it with your finger there. And then go ahead and grab your squeegee and let's get a good right side base. It's gonna be a little harder with the squeegee to get in these corners, so go ahead and you can do that with your finger. And don't worry about tucking these edges behind quite yet. We'll do that once the rest of this is applied. So keep doing that, working your way towards the left side or the right side if you started on the left side. All right, once you've reached where you left off with the paper backing, go ahead and remove the rest and apply the other side. Again, you can just use your finger to push that down, tack it in place so it holds and doesn't fall down, and keep working your way that direction. All right, now that you've got all that done, go ahead and pull the tailgate down and wrap the edges around the edge of the tailgate here. You might want to use some heat to make the material more pliable. You may not be able to see this on the camera, but in person you'll definitely be able to see it where the hole is for to reinstall the backup camera, as well as the two holes here for the guides to reinstall the emblem. So we'll go ahead and cut a hole in here. You don't have to cut super close to the edge. The rest of the material can just be wrapped around on the inside of the tailgate, and then we'll reinstall that camera. Your kit is going to come with two 6" by 6" pieces to wrap the camera, and I'll insert clips now on how to do that. But for this install, I'm not going to wrap this camera. I'm just going to leave it white here on the tailgate. And you can kind of see how that looks. If you like it, go ahead and run with it. If you want to make it black, go ahead and follow those instructions on how to wrap this camera. All right, so to wrap the camera, what you're gonna need is one of those squares that's included in your kit. We include two in case one gets messed up, as well as your snap blade. I have the camera sit on top of a aerosol spray can, like a spray paint cap, and that just kind of helps keep it elevated, especially with all these pieces on the back here. It sits in there nicely. And then also you're gonna need your heat gun. So to start out, go ahead and take your piece of material here, move it from the backing, and you're going to want to heat this up. It's going to be a little easier if you have two people, but if you're by yourself, just set it down with the adhesive side facing up. Use your heat gun to heat up the material, and then you're going to stretch it over the camera. grab your camera, stretch the material over top of the camera, and pull it down. Try to get the lens in the middle of the piece just so you don't have, just so you have enough hanging over to wrap around the edges. Once you've got this front piece on, go ahead and press down around the camera. Get it all pressed down on this front side of the camera where the camera points out. All right, and then for the sides, you're gonna wanna heat that up again just so it's super pliable. Once you have it heated, stretch it, pull it out to the side, and then pull it down to wrap the side of the camera. The material stretches really well once it's warmed up, and that lets you get a nice smooth application on the edges. Go ahead and continue to do that for the other sides. All right, once you have it applied on the flat surfaces, you're gonna wanna wrap it around the edge. And before you do that, you can use scissors or your knife, but go ahead and trim off some of the excess material, but leave a little bit, I'd say about 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch on the inside edge, just so you can wrap that around. All right, now go ahead and finish these edges off by heating up the excess material, wrapping it around the edge, and then you can trim off as much as you want. Just make sure it's a nice flat surface that can go up against the bed of the truck. All right, so the last step with this camera before putting it back on is to trim around the actual camera itself. So again, grab your blade and push the material down onto the camera really well around, so just so you can see where the contours are, and then go ahead and trim it up with your blade. All right, now once you've got it trimmed, go ahead and peel the material off of the camera, the lens itself. Do this by lifting from an edge. Once you get it lifted up, peel it away. And now you can stick your fingernail in there to smooth out those edges. Or I'm gonna use the back of the knife blade here, not the actual blade itself. Now you can see here, I've got a little bit of paint showing around the camera. I'm not too concerned about it, but if you aren't happy with how you trimmed it, you can go ahead and peel it all off and try again with your spare piece. We're gonna go ahead and reinstall it just like how we took it out. We're gonna take this protrusion here, stick it in there and clip it in. There you go. You'll hear a click when it's in there. Come on the inside of the tailgate, reinstall it just how you uninstalled it. Replug that tail light, that backup camera cable, as well as put your clip back in place. And reinstall your cover. All right, next we're gonna install your template to reinstall those letters. So again, find these holes there. If you want to cut them out a little bit just so it's easier to press the letters through, go ahead and do that. And then remove the transfer tape with the template. Make sure the dots come with it. You don't want to leave those down on the paper since that's what you'll be using to line everything up. All right, now you've got this dot on the left side and a little oval on the right. Go ahead and line those up. All right, take your squeegee and just using a little bit of pressure, go ahead and install this template. You don't need to press this down super hard since it will be removed afterwards. All right, go ahead and remove this, peel this transfer tape away, leaving the template behind. And I'm not too sure, these dots can come with the transfer tape. They don't need to be down anymore. There you go, easy as that. Now your emblems may have enough tack left on them to just reinstall them like this, but if a lot of that adhesive was removed whenever you pulled these emblems off, you might want to go to a local store like an automotive store or even Walmart sells it, and grab some double-sided tape that's thin, that's very, very strong and made for the outdoors, specifically if you can find it, made for emblems for automobiles. I am using some Gorilla Tape and I'm just gonna cut off a couple pieces, put it on the back of these letters, and then reinstall these letters within the template. You have the little protrusions on there still. Go ahead and make sure you put that through the hole on your tailgate and then line the letter up with the edges of the template here. Now this template is oversized by about 1/16 of an inch, just so you can remove the template after reinstalling the letters. And the template's not underneath the letters. Now that you've got this reinstalled, go ahead and reinstall your taillights as well. Make sure to plug them back in to the harness. And push this red clip back in as well. Go ahead and slide that into place. Push it straight back. Make sure your graphic isn't covering those holes. All right, reinstall those screws. If you are using a power drill like me, be sure to set the torque pretty low so you don't over tighten and strip this out. Same thing on the other side. Plug it back in, push it into place. Now you've got your tailgate graphic installed. This is one of my personal favorites. I really, really like the look and how it changes the look of the vehicle. As always, if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to reach out to us at support@adventurelifedecals.com through the chat box on our website, and we'll be sure to get back to you with any support that we can as quickly as possible.